Greetings everyone, I am RSV. I want to talk about the Kvaris Endgame in this video. Primarily, I want to say that it looks promising. The first week we have the urgent quests and the Kvaris purple battle tier. And if Gigantics are anything like previous Gigantics, they'll have their own unit set and series tied to them as well. And the purple battle tier, because of this, will probably end up being the best source of gear at the start of that patch. Depending on how long leveling takes in Kvaris, considering we are leveling up 15 levels, if it takes a longer period of time in Kvaris, that first week may be needed for people to catch up and really get their characters going. However, just 7 days after the launch of Kvaris, the Rayjaw Gorge and ancient enemies will be introduced to the game. Rayjaw Gorge will be the hardest zone in the game when it releases, because of the temperature damage effect that the zone has. Not to mention, the ancient enemies have been teased to be stronger than Gigantics. Now, there are a couple of things that have me worried about ancient enemies and Rayjaw Gorge itself. The zone will require an armor set to be crafted for it to progress in that zone due to the frost effect of the zone. If you do not have the resistance, the zone will freeze you solid every so often, as well as do damage to you. Tying this with the fact that the ancient enemies will quote-unquote will be more difficult than Gigantics, this means SEGA needs to up the ante for the reward of this zone. If this zone has no reason to do it, no one will craft the set and no one will do the zone. And I'd assume that the rewards would drop from ancient enemies, so I'm not going to separate rewards between them, but I would like to see something special come from this zone. And this probably means that there will be unique augments coming from the ancient enemies from the zone. However, I would definitely like to see equipment of some kind come from the zone, even if, in this case, that equipment is incredibly rare. My reasoning for this is, if we can get more equipment into the game that people might possibly want to grind out, maybe it even takes longer to upgrade, but we need to keep actually playing the game to upgrade it in the first place. I would like that. Give us some progression with these zones. Don't just release them and have no support and no systems that involve them. For this reason, I'd like to see new material in Rayjaw Gorge that is designed specifically for upgrading a really powerful weapon from that zone, and it might take us a couple of weeks to fully upgrade that weapon. I do not mind that in the slightest, and I think a lot of progression-minded people would really appreciate a system like that in the game. But here is my worry about ancient enemies. They have teased them to be more difficult than Gigantics. I hope this means that they aren't just massive walls that one-shot you and take even longer to kill than Gigantics. I hope by SEGA saying this they have interesting mechanics and do unique effects, or just even have effects that occur on the battlefield that other enemies don't. From what we can see of them in the screenshot and video of them that we got in the headline, we can see effects that do not appear to be from players' attacks going around the ancient enemies, so maybe they have some attacks that just occur ambiently and adds difficulty by catching us off that way. Turning the game into more of a Toho game is definitely a good way to make it more difficult versus just increasing the damage and health of enemies. Of course, there is a limit to that. And finally, the big elephant in the room, the Darkfalls Interception Rank 2. We fight Darkfalls again, with 4 teammates at level 60. We have a limited number of deaths. This will definitely be a very challenging piece of content, and I can't stress this enough, because this urgent quest requires triggers, which will require grinding from other sources. The urgent quest needs a good reward setup. It cannot be left on its own, and it needs something for us to progress. I will be very disappointed personally if they just drop this in the game to be done once and then never touched again. Of course, some content should exist in that capacity. However, at the moment, I don't think there is room for content like that, and I think they need to focus on giving us progression, especially at the start of a patch. If they want to give us one-off content, or content that feels like one-off content, they need to have the game systems supporting grinders in the first place, and I think that both ancient enemies and the Darkfalls Interception is a good chance for them to really do a crass weapon or crass armors and have a progression based weapon that we can grind out over time, maybe get a lucky drop, who knows. But that is my main food for here. I don't even care if the Darkfalls has new abilities or not. It will be more difficult in the format that it's in regardless. So ultimately, I think that rewards are the thing that need to be looked at in this circumstance. Will it be rewarding? Will progressing through it be enjoyable and rewarding, because why do something if we do not get a reason to do it? But there is one last piece of content that I want to talk about, and that is the Geolab, and I'm kind of worried because they have not mentioned the Geolab once yet, and the Geolab is a very good source of scaling content. They could easily tack on a little bit of an upgrade to the Geolab in any patch, but they could easily add an extra modifier, they could easily add rewards to it, and I do not see why they don't. So personally, I'm just very worried that they're just going to abandon another piece of content that could be increasing the enjoyment of the game and getting people to play it more. But what do you think about the new endgame content coming in Kvaris? Do you have similar worries to me, or do you have a different idea? Please let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, I've been RSV, and I will see you next time.